Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so very much for dropping by this video. To anyone who's new to this channel is about a very special spiritual teacher named Bruno Groening. You can find out more about him in the link that is in the chat box or below this video. Fair warning, this just may be a very emotional video because yesterday was the anniversary of Bruno Groening leaving his body. You know, we humans often talk about death, and Bruno Groening once said, "There is no death, there's only salvation." It's a very deep statement. I believe I understand the first part, that the soul is immortal, but that there is only salvation. It's a very deep statement. Of course, I'd love to see the German. That's just a translation. I'm still sitting with it and reflecting on it. And I reflected yesterday on Bruno Groening, on his life, his coming, his departure, his work while he was in a body here on this earth, his work while he is no longer, so far as we know, in a body on this earth. And that's all very interesting. But then I kind of got a little personal about it. And I thought about what, because I'm a bit of a philosopher, if you haven't noticed. I like to think about big ideas and talk about them and share about them and live them. But what does Bruno Groening's coming, the fact that he came to this earth, and his work while he was here, the work that he set up that would continue after he wasn't here, what does that work mean for you? And yesterday I was reflecting, what does that mean? What does this all mean for me, to me, and for me? And, you know, the first thing that it means for me is I'm still alive. And who knows how many people there are today who are alive because of Bruno Groening, who are alive because someone we never met. And what, and I'll just get personal here, what can I say to that? Someone who I never met, who never asked anything from me, who endured more hardship than is beyond my human comprehension, and he did it for me and for a lot of other people. He endured this hardship so that he could give to me and you, and I would argue all of humanity, but I'm going to try and keep this personal and not so philosophical today. So here's this guy, I've never met him. At least not in this lifetime, never met him. He goes to a place that's going to be very hard for him. He knew it was going to be hard, and he asked God to send him to that hard place. And when I say hard, humanly unbearable, from what he's described of how unpleasant it was to have his level of awakeness and have evil everywhere constantly attacking him. He pleaded with God, please let me go there. Why? So he could help me and others. So he could give. And in my case, that giving saved my life. And today, there's probably 10,000 other people who could say that. And over the last 50, 60 years, it's probably more like 50,000, 100,000, who knows? whose lives he saved, much less the 100, 200, 300, 500,000, don't know. Million lives he's changed, 2 million, 3 million, just giving, asking nothing in return. So as I tried to reflect on all this, I didn't know how to feel. And sitting here right now talking about it, I don't know how to feel, because it's just I have no frame of reference. Yes, I've had strangers do kind things for me. It's wonderful. It's wonderful when a stranger holds open the door, or, you know, the random acts of kindness, or it's so wonderful and sweet when people do things who you don't even know to help you. I mean, that's what grace is, right? But when I try and think about the impact of Bruno Groening's coming on my life, I'm very grateful. I'm honestly dumbfounded. It's not a word I use very often, but it's just like my brain goes and my heart goes, what do I feel? Like, just don't know, like beyond. You know, there were all sorts of headlines that talked about Bruno Groening was here, and one of them, it said, unfathomable. Bruno Groening heals the sick. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. But the first word was unfathomable, and I think that's what I feel when I try and think about Bruno Groening coming. This guy I didn't know came for me and for you and for humanity. And in my case, it saved my life. I was shared it many times. I was, oh gosh, when I found Bruno's teaching, I was 38 or 39 years young. I have to do the math. And I didn't know, let's say I was 39. I didn't know if I was going to make it to 40. I think I was 38. I didn't know if I was going to make it to 39. I was watching my body fall to pieces. I was out of options. I was an agnostic. I didn't even believe in a higher power. So I think when I try to take it in, I feel shock. I think, normally shock is when something bad happens, but I think this is more, it's like, it's so big. My body, mind, heart just like doesn't know what to do with it. First of all, the fact that someone who I've never physically met saved my life. Next, that he asked nothing and just gave this gift to me. Yes, I did lots of Einstein. Yes, I strove. And my understanding of part of how Bruno works is he would actually take on illnesses for people and burn them up. So he took on some of my, you could say guilt, you could say karma, you could say illness, you could say evil that I had taken in. He took it on and dealt with it. Some of it, I don't think he did all of that in my case or in any case, but my understanding is that he would take on some illness, evil, karma. Don't know that he ever used the word karma. That's my word. So he basically, my garbage, my stinky garbage, he took some of it Like that is hard to fathom, but I can kind of fathom but how hard his life was. And he asked God to come here. And so, when Bruno was a child, it was so hard he would run away to the woods. And one time he said to God, "There's so much evil. Why did you send me here?" I'm paraphrasing, but the response he heard from God was, "You asked me. You asked to come here," which is a mystery, in the, you could say, incarnation process of coming down, that he had lost some of his memories. And he described how unpleasant it was for him here. And that's just beyond comprehension. I can tell you what he said, and I've said it before. He said at one community hour, if the friends could see, he said, "I can see, hear, taste, smell, and feel evil. If the friends could experience what I experience in a community hour, they would run out screaming and never come back." And so he lived with that 24/7. I assume at a community hour, maybe it was more intensified because there was spiritual work to be done. But 24/7, he was aware of evil, I assume, to some extent. And yet he came here and he asked God to come here to help me and you. So I did. I went out for a walk. I tried talking to Bruno, and I didn't know what to say, because it's just. And at first I felt bad that I didn't know what to say. Obviously, I said thank you for coming. But I think maybe I'm on the right track in not knowing what to think or feel, because I think it's something so profound and so deep that maybe it is beyond comprehension. And there's something good. There's something good within us that we all want to give. And sometimes you read or you hear, the most amazing stories of strangers risking their life to save someone else's life, someone they don't know, no connection, no attachment, but they put their own life in danger to save someone else. It moves me to tears to think about. I don't want to diminish when people do that, but I want to honor what Bruno Groening did, which he endured 59 years of pain, discomfort, and agony, and somehow managed to find and maintain a divine heavenly peace and touch. I don't know, who can say how many lives he touched when he was in his body, and who can say how many his work has impacted since then. So one thing that's been on my mind is, well, what do I do with this gift? Bruno saved my life. How can I pay him back? He doesn't want to be paid back, but one thought comes to me, and that is I can live his teachings and to the best of my ability pass them along. But even more than passing them along, which I love doing, you may have noticed after a couple hundred videos here on YouTube, I love sharing about Bruno Groening. I love sharing his teachings. I love sharing the healings I experienced. Love the fact that I'm still alive because of this man. I feel like the greatest way I can honor him is to practice what he preached. Because he didn't just come here to lift illnesses from people, which he did and which was amazing. But he came to show us how to live. He came to show us how we can learn to do that for ourselves and to do that for others. And I sometimes wonder, I think of him and I think of Christ. I'm like, why didn't you guys stay longer? I think the long and short of it is they didn't stay longer because this is just my 2 cents, take it or leave it, is because we've got to practice what they preached and become more like them, not just let them take care of everything for us. Yes, they're available to help, but Bruno said, Bruno talked about himself as a mediator of the divine energy, but he also said, I want all of you to learn to stand on your own 2 feet and to receive the energy directly. I don't know that I'm there yet. I still ask Bruno for help with that. And I think that points to what his hope is, his wish for us, why he came here. There's that expression, practice what you preach. Well, in this case, I'm thinking to practice what he preached. And when I first found out about Bruno Groening, I felt like the whole world needs to hear about Bruno and his teachings and his message and what happens. And I still feel that way. But as I've been sitting with his passing or his departure, I feel like the most important thing I can do to serve Bruno Groening's work here on this planet is to practice what he taught and to not try and imitate Bruno Groening, to strive to emulate his virtues like faith and trust and charity. Because Bruno talked about how we each have our own vocation, our own gift, our own mission, our own lessons. So to try and imitate Bruno Groening, I believe would be wrong. But to try and emulate some of the inner qualities such as faith and trust, I think everyone is that those are universal lessons for all of us. But according to Bruno Groening, we each have a vocation. A vocation means calling, a purpose, lessons, specific lessons for each one of us. You could say the unfolding of our soul. It's going to look a little different, probably a lot different for each one of us. Bruno said something so interesting. He said so many things interesting, but one thing he said, and this is almost a direct quote, is, "I get up on the stage once again to show you how life should be lived." Now, does that mean that we should get up and act like Bruno Groening? I don't think so. But that's what I mean by imitate. Should I get up and just copy, repeat everything he said? I don't think so. But the way that he lived, trusting God, seeking God's guidance, seeking to help, that's what I believe is universal. And then we're each here to discover what's the right way for me to do those things, to love other people, to love God, to serve, to grow. So those are a few of my reflections on Bruno's coming here. What it meant to me. And the long and short of it is, I don't exactly know. To go back to what I started with, it is unfathomable, Bruno coming here and all that he did and all that he is doing. And I think awe, shock, and wonder is maybe a good place to start, to even begin to comprehend the Bruno Groening phenomenon. Thank you so very much to everyone walking this path, to those who've been drawn to this channel, and I wish you deep reflections on what it means that Bruno came and endured so much so that he could take on our burdens and give to us teachings, energy, guidance, help, love, and a friendship that is beyond comprehension, beyond my comprehension anyway. Thank you, Nat. Blessings to all.